Thank you and welcome to the show for today. You are watching Perspectives and I am host Alana McLaughlin. This morning on the show I have Jerry Holt II, known as Smokey Hendrixx, a Nashville local, known producer, writer, kind of facilitator of music, and we're discussing the impact of his artistry of America's Most Wanted productions on Tennessee communities. We're discussing Jerry's background, his educational experiences, his production, some of the songs that he has helped create, and ultimately the impact that he seeks to leave through his work on the Tennessee community. Thank you, Smokey, for just spending some time with me, for just coming this morning to talk to me.
For sure.
To start off this first segment, I want to talk about early life. Set me up, what that looked like, tell me where you're from, kind of what childhood looked like, and just run me down who Jerry was as a kid.
So early life of Jerry Holt II, it's an amazing thing. I was raised in North Nashville, the Bordeaux area. Two amazing parents, me, my little sister, and my older brother. We had it pretty good, you know what I'm saying? I never had to struggle for anything, never had to just really want for anything, you know what I'm saying, because it was a given. Big family, grew up, I went to Alex Green Elementary School, left there, went to Kings Lane, middle school John Early, and high school East Literature Magnet High School, which is now East Nashville High School.
Isn't this so crazy? I went to both Alex Green and John Early.
For real?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Come on, two Metro babies.
You know what I'm saying?
But I want to talk about your family involvement throughout that period. Kind of tell me about what your parents did, kind of their involvement, the way that they shaped kind of young Jerry.
So how my dad and all my family, my mom, how they shaped was through example. They lived the right life, they made the right choices, and they just want that to reflect upon their offsprings. So just seeing them and how they continuously to grind, work hard, and just to get where they wanted to be was motivation for me to do as well. I really love the fact that my parents were involved with my sports in high school, middle school, growing up. They were always there supporting me, yelling for me, even at band concerts. It was an amazing thing. So my parents, my family, everybody has been the biggest support system through all my life and up to now, me being 30.
And I want to talk about just some of the things you were involved in as that child. I know you've mentioned track, archery, band, and I want you to tell me what middle school and high school Jerry was into.
So middle school Jerry was into the band, playing football, like running around, playing basketball, having fun. Going into high school, I took everything more seriously with football and even the band. I was able to play more instruments and learn how to play more instruments in the band. I also, in high school, I did wrestling, football, of course. I did archery, bowling. We could just keep going on.
I want to know, because it's so interesting that this really shaped your undergrad and graduate school experience, but doesn't necessarily play the biggest role in what you do today. And I just,
And you want to know what's funny? It's crazy because high school, I also was a part of a rap group. So yeah,
tell me about that.
It was called New Generation. So New Generation, it consisted of it was like 4 or 5 of us, and we all knew each other. We was good friends. We all went to East, and we just wanted to start the music thing. So we were already throwing parties and things like that. So we just took it to another level. Like, let's perform at our own parties. So it was good. We had stuff on the radio. We had a song called Bounce. It was, yeah, that was a long time ago. But you know, it was,
Jerry.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's fun. It was fun. So that really what molded me and rolled me over into, as well as being in the band, to do the music production.
And I'm trying not to jump the gun on your production story, but to really kind of finish off this early life of Jerry, take me through now undergraduate school. Tell me where you went to school, what you were studying, and kind of how that experience shaped you.
So undergrad, as well as grad, so we can go ahead and get to that. I went to Tennessee State, the Tennessee State University. In undergrad, my major was human performance and sports sciences with a concentration in athletic training. That life was an amazing life. I also played football for Tennessee State for 2 years, yeah. I played linebacker and long snapper, so that's me hiking the ball to the punter and running downfield as fast as I can.
Were you cold?
Yeah, I was pretty good.
What?
Yeah, I'm an athlete. Yeah, I'm an athlete. So that throwing parties, meeting big names that we know now that weren't too big, but like Tay Keith. So being in the party like
Realm.
area
Uh-huh.
realm. We were able to throw parties together at Murfreesboro because he went to MTSU, which opened up many other doors to people that we end up meeting. To now a whole lot of people that you might hear with music or see on TV or your creative directors. So it's pretty cool.
But this all started from just like TSU parties.
Yeah.
And now take me through graduate school. And this will kind of wrap that first segment, your educational background, and this will also kind of lead us into the start of your production life. But tell me about your graduate school experience.
So my graduate school experience, it was a pretty cool experience. It took me 2 years. My major was sports administration, which I was leading into going into a life of being an NFL agent or just a sports agent. I'm still going to do that. But leading into that, COVID had happened around 2019, 2020, and it canceled a lot of my plans into becoming that agent. It canceled a couple tests that I wanted to take. So I ended up taking what I wanted to do and dibble-dabble in making a hobby, which was music production, and now it landed me into some big rooms or my name in rooms that I have never been in. So,
and you know, this is just kind of like the last thing I'll say in this first segment. Something interesting that I learned about you is that you were tired of waiting on artists to drop their own projects. So you started bringing in the artists and dropping the work yourself.
I had to start doing it myself.
And we're going to pick back up in our second segment about you kind of outsmarting the brain and you kind of really going full-fledged with your production and really impacting Tennessee. And I encourage our viewers to tune into the second segment of Perspectives, where I will return with Jerry to discuss the impact that hip-hop production has had on the local community and America's Most Wanted Productions. Welcome to the second segment of the show for today. For viewers just tuning in, I am host Alana McLaughlin. You are watching Perspectives. This morning on the show, I have Mr. Jerry Holt II here discussing his background, his artistry, the impact that his production has had on the local Tennessee community, his involvement with America's Most Wanted Productions, and ultimately the impact that he seeks to leave on our community. In our first segment, I talked to Jerry about his early life. We talked about his family experiences and some of those early music experiences, as well as his educational experiences. We left off his post-grad school years. This is around the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we're talking about how that pandemic affected him and ultimately the goodness that came out of that era. It's about 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
It ain't looking like you about to be an NFL agent.
Right.
But the world is like
and
going
everything
down.
paused, literally.
It's like scary almost.
Yeah.
But tell me how you were able to come out of that era almost like unscathed.
So, I'm not gonna say unscathed.
I feel that.
But
I feel
you know
that.
what I'm saying? You know, you had your ups and downs, but that whole era like put perspective on, okay, if plan A doesn't work, what's plan B?
Right.
So my plan B was, okay, hey, Chill, DJ Chill, my one of my business partners, hey, we about to take this serious. Short story, at his granddad's house he used to stay at, his granddad let him have the whole basement, so it literally was like a small apartment. His next door neighbor was a rock country engineer. He passed away unexpectedly. And basically his wife ended up coming to Chill and like saying, oh, he left this Mac desktop speakers and all this type of stuff to you. And we were just discussing, oh man, we gotta get new laptops, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. And then lo and behold, there goes a blessing. Dropped like in our laps. And from then we ended up downloading our DAW, which is, we use FL Studios to make our beats. But it was just an amazing thing to have happened because we have to take advantage. So we took advantage, and from there on out, I had recreated myself into Smokey Hendrixx. And that is where it like all started.
Yeah.
Like I wanted this hobby, and it ended up being like a job essentially.
Now, I'm going to jump around in the timeline. I have to shout you out. You are so awesome. We met at Control the Ville.
Yeah.
You were just there. You were like super cool styling, like profiling. And I just went up to you and I was like, man, like I saw you across the room. I was like, he looks cool. I was like, let me just start talking, see if he talk back.
Right.
And I got talking to you and I was like, man, you're the dude who produced that Big Top project. And that is really the natural reaction that people have to you and have to this work. And what we're going to do now is talk about what led up to that. I want you to tell me about your your first real studio session, and about how you grew tired of waiting on these artists to drop their own projects and kind of the solution you had for that.
So it's crazy. My real first studio session was with some young dudes. They went by Ski. One of them name was Lil Quez, and the other name was Gans.
Bottle Girl.
Yeah, Bottle Girl.
Did you
I did that as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a lot of those songs that I ended up creating with them in the early years. That was like an experience because I was like, okay, I've been in studio sessions like just to look, but now I'm a part of a session where it's my work being used, and it's like these some young kids, but it's just like, okay, let me try to be professional and take this role on how I need to take it. It was a pretty cool experience, but you know, some artists, it take a little second for them to come up with something, and for them to be young, they were just everywhere.
It is so funny you're saying young. They're all older than me, so I'm like laughing every time you say young.
Okay, so me, in the perspective of my age, yeah, they were young.
I know, I feel it.
But that experience, like, going into all these other experiences, going into the studio, like, prepared me to, like, figure out, like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is the next thing I need to do to make sure things flow smoothly, which the engineer, if you have a good engineer, that's the key to a good session.
Okay.
So that's what I learned also first session.
And now tell me, even in that first session, having to learn what the artist like, were you just bringing what you liked, what sounded good, or did you kind of listen and study those artists beforehand and kind of come with an understanding?
So it's funny because I'm not trying to brag, but I love the fact that like when artists come to me, like they come to me like still trying to find their sound. So me being like, okay, let me see what they think about these beats. Oh, they liked them. And a lot of the beats that I did were with Chill and my other partner, Nokia Beats. That whole just bringing our sound and like listening to like what they like to rap on, but putting our own spin onto it was how we created or how we create other artists' sound. So I am pretty good at creating artists' sounds. A lot of female rappers that I work with, I've helped like mold their sound, not necessarily create because they've already been artists. A lot of artists from other states that I work with, I help mold or create a new sound for them. So that's what brings me joy into doing all of this.
And I gotta just jump the gun and go ahead and talk about part-time rapper. Big Top's newest project, Big Part-Time Rapper, Full-Time Gangster. I want to talk about you working with him. This was taped at the NBM studio.
Nashville Black Market. Yep.
And
or Nothing But Music. I'm sorry.
Nashville Black Market. But I want to talk about experience. He's another younger dude. He's still older than me, but he's young. And I want to talk about working with him. I think that was what his debut.
Yeah, that was one of his biggest albums that he has. I think he has like 2 or 3 before that one. But funny story, Big Top went to TSU for a time.
And you know, I think I knew that.
Yeah, and we were in one of the same classes. Right. And I've been knowing him like neighborhood. My brother, we had a neighborhood barbershop my uncle had, so they would always be around. But knowing like to hear him elevate in his sound made me see like, oh, you're really taking this serious, which I'm like, oh, you already the homie, so let's work. Let's put it together. Let it all make sense. So
now, I specifically, to wrap this second segment, I want to talk about Plug with Migo. I want to talk about that beat. That's a sample from I Got 5 on it.
Yeah. Whose
idea was it to chop that up?
So it's crazy. I had ended up listening to it and sending it to my boy D Furby, which is Lil Ron made this, which he has created. D-Lo, Bossman D-Lo's Sports Center, Drake and Sexy Red song that they have. I sent it to him and said, hey, chop this up for me. So when I chopped it up, I was like, okay, perfect. Let me go ahead and finish it up. I sent it to him, and he was like, oh yeah, this it. So it was
a couple different hands in the pot.
You know what I'm saying?
But it made magic.
Yeah.
It's so funny. That was actually my most listened to album, I think like September, October, and November.
For real?
I squeezed the life about that album.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was great. And we're going to talk about just some of that great production. We're going to talk about America's Most Wanted productions and really like some of the things you're working on and ways that people can stay in touch with you in our final segment. And I encourage our viewers to tune in to the final segment to hear Jerry's story, to hear about all that he has going on in the local community and ways that we can support him. The final segment of the show for today. For viewers just tuning in, I am host Alana McLaughlin. You are watching Perspectives. This morning on the show, I have Jerry Holt II here discussing his background, his education, his work, his production history, and ultimately the impact that he seeks to leave on local Tennessee communities. In our first two segments, Jerry set up just some of his early career experiences. He took us through his educational background, and in this final segment, we're talking about the creation of America's Most Wanted Productions. We're talking about some of the work that Jerry has going on today in the local community and ways that we can support him. What is America's Most Wanted? I want you to take me through who's involved, how this came to be, and the impact that you guys seek to leave through working together.
So America's Most Wanted is spelled A-E, oh, I'm sorry. A-M-E-R-I-K-A-S. America's Most Wanted is pretty much just our version of America Wants Us.
Oh, okay.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that is the mark that we're trying to leave.
Okay.
Just not in Nashville, but all over the whole world,
right,
if we can.
Right.
It consists of me, DJ Chill, or Chill, which is Jelly Rose producer, my buddy Nokio Beats, Jet Lee Beats, as well as Cash Counter. He's a younger producer, but DJ at MTSU right now. He DJs a lot of the MTSU games and stuff like that.
Cool.
But yeah, we just a big conglomerate that we all grew up together in the same area, and we're around the same age.
Okay.
So we have like a good chemistry when it comes to working.
And what's the point, the advantage of working together?
The advantages of working together is that as long as we've known each other, we know each other pretty much. Like, we know what ticks us off. We know how to work with each other. We know how to kick it. We know how to talk to each other. We know how, if we have problems, we know how to speak it out. We don't have any outside dealings that's not outside of the family, which is us, essentially, because we've known each other forever. The only one that's not from here is Cash Counter, and he's from Memphis, but he's like our little brother.
I was like, he locked in with y'all too.
Yeah, he's like our little brother. So it's all good vibes and nothing weird.
So now, set it up for me, like just a fan that's listening. Are you guys working on individual projects on your own, and then you come together kind of to get that feedback, that criticism for each other, or is each project attacked by the group? We'll use Big Top as an example. With that part-time rapper, did everybody like jump on that, or was that like Smokey getting reception and then?
So it's pretty much we all have our separate doings, or what we do. Like my albums, or with Big Top, I ended up just sending Top different beats and things like that. Some of them were with me, some of them with all the other producers that we work with. But it just goes by what he chooses. But a project that we all were a part of was Starlito's project, Imposter Syndrome. And I ended up having the last song on it called Finish Line, and Chill and Nokio ended up having 2 songs on there as well. So it all worked, and of course, Starlito is neighborhood hero in our eyes, which is one of our bigger rappers from Nashville, Tennessee. I really appreciate him for that whole deal, because that's somebody I wanted to work with. That was on bucket list. So that's a prime example of how we work together, and we didn't even know we worked together. But when I put out my own albums, I come back to the group. Usually I work with beats that we all created and send them to artists I want to work with, or we all want to work with, but it's essentially just my own project. I'm trying to get them into starting to drop their own projects, because that's the wave. That's the new wave of how producers can be creative and still have a hand and not just be beat makers, but producers.
And I think and a cool example, cool local example would be Tana Xavier and his Tana Fire It Up. His last project that had features from, like we said, we had the Big Top, all like the local guys. I thought that was really cool that the producer was behind the album, almost like DJ Khaled.
Exactly.
And I was like, that's neat. He had like the whole little album cover. It's very neat. I encourage our viewers to check Tana out. But I think that we're in a real cool era of like producers doing that. And that leads me to asking you, what are you working on now? What is life looking like for Smokey, for America's Most Wanted? What are some of the ongoings that kind of characterize your day-to-day life right now? So
the life of a producer, it never stops, because you don't know when stuff will drop, or if the artist will tell you when stuff will drop. So it's just a day-by-day basis. I'm still working with Sweet Poison, Mimi the Goat, which are 2 of our female artists here from Nashville. Ari Siobhan, which is an R&B artist that I've been working with. I've been working with Fredo Ruthless, Gans, Big Top, Starlito, Trapper Mandel, who just dropped a project. I'm also working on my own personal project. Now, I'm not rapping. I might give you some bars. I might. But I'm essentially dropping around probably like May 2025. But that's all I'm gonna give you.
And I at least gotta ask a question about that. When you say you're dropping your own project, you've made the beat, and you're bringing in artists to rap on the beats.
Right.
At the end of the day, who owns that song? If you're 50% of it and they're the other 50.
So like I tell people, my whole goal of me being a producer is trying to put my city on or the people that I work with.
Okay.
So if we put in the work 50-50, we're going to split it 50-50. You know what I'm saying? So it's just essentially everybody's going to get their just due.
Because I know, if you don't know what you're doing, people will pull a fast one on you.
Exactly.
And I wonder, have you ever had any experiences like that where you made a beat and weren't credited for it? Or
I'm not necessarily going to say credited, but it's been times where, you know what I'm saying, you were supposed to receive payments, but
and let's talk.
you just got to keep going, you know what I'm
saying?
saying?
And I'm glad you said to keep going, because I think that is something that really our young producers should hear. Like, sometimes people are not going to do the best by you, but like you just said, to keep going. And tell me how you kind of maintain when people aren't the friendliest or don't really pay you.
So essentially, I've never came to a decision to where people just had to say, oh, forget Smokey Hendrixx. Because I try to treat everybody with the same respect as that I would want to be treated. So I try to give off that experience to, oh, you can trust me. I'm going to do the work. And if I do the work, can you still deliver as respected? You know what I'm saying? So as young producers, I would say don't come in looking to get paid. Come in creating your way and finding artists that you want to work with to create this new lane. That's how you get rich, instead of going, oh, let me try to send beats to Lil Baby or Da Baby or any of these artists. You know what I'm saying? Try to find your artists that you want to work with, that they have their own crowd and they can continue to create and
kind of build with
big.
them.
Yeah, you have to build with them. That's the key.
Now, Smokey, I want you in these last 2 minutes, one, leave some inspirational words again for that young producer, not just one that's going through like the emotions, but just a guy that just needs to hear a pick me up. And after that inspiration, tell me ways that the community can support you. Instagram, Facebook, just things like that.
So what I would tell the younger producer, or if I can tell myself starting off, which I wasn't young, I would say just stay on it. Just be consistent. Consistency is the key.
You're right.
When you have a hobby and you are consistent with it, it becomes a reality. It becomes way bigger than what you could expect.
You're right.
Your name could be in rooms that you've never been in with bigger names that you could imagine.
And I know digital streaming platforms, you're Smokey Hendrixx.
Yeah.
I know on Instagram you're Smokey Hendrixx as well, but Facebook is more Jerry Holt the singing.
Right.
And these are avenues that people can use to support you and to connect with you. And to our viewers, I want you to remember these outlets, to remember ways to connect and support with Jerry. And I want to thank you for just the opportunity to share one more perspective. Good morning.